Hey, Bills fans. What's up? Sorry, I had to adjust my seat. No, there's not a lot of people in the room yet, but I felt like I definitely owed you a live reaction. I look like utter hell right now because went out to Long Island with my friend went to his place in Long Island. Want to thank him. It's the first time I ever watched a draft. It's been, well, with another Bills fan, so it was a great experience. It was cool. It's different. I liked it, and I felt like coming on and saying, what I felt about yesterday. And I know we all have our trepidations, me included. I've been very outspoken about my trepidation about what the Bills did yesterday. Haven't even before they did it, I was skeptical about the pick potentially being Josh Allen, and indeed it was Josh Allen, the quarterback from Wyoming. I'm gonna do positive, negative, general about both picks. I don't want to slight Edmunds either because I think the overall sentiment about Edmunds pick is, whoa, we like that pick. Big. Okay, I'm just gonna start off positive. I want to be, because it all is a wait and see. We draft. Let's just say we draft any of the other three. We sit here today and said, "Oh shit, we're all watching the sexy highlights. We're all watching the sexy highlights on YouTube, and we're seeing all these great things. And what we don't have is that with Allen. We have little snippets of throws. We have little things that we can say like, hey, he played in streaks. We played in streaks. And I'm going to take all your questions and stuff. I know you got Corey up here thinking we got EJ level bad. And what I can say to that, I'm going to continue this. I'm going to answer some of the chats, okay? This guy, by consensus from everybody, was a first-round quarterback. He was going to be taken in the first round. Yeah, I mean, the numbers are what they are. But I think, again, I want to start with the positives first, Corey, and then I'm going to address those obvious negatives with the completion percentage. I'm going to definitely do that because they're there. We could see those numbers. Can't hide from those numbers. Those numbers are what they are. They went for freaks in this draft, physical freaks. They went for the prototype test lab quarterback. They went for the prototype test lab middle linebacker. I can't recall a kid that was 19 getting drafted. The last one, I remembered it right off the bat, was Christian Okoye's son, Amobi Okoye, Houston defensive tackle. The kid was like, I don't know if he was 19 when he was drafted or 20 or just turned 20. Ridiculous. So this kid has crazy bloodlines. Edmunds, I didn't know he came from such a robust football family. I didn't know that myself until everybody started talking about it afterwards. But the quarterback is what everybody wants to talk about. This is what we wanted to talk about, is the quarterback. Right? And we could say that right now, Corey, but Corey, he wasn't as accurate at Virginia Tech. Tyrod was not as there's an example of a quarterback who improved his accuracy, the one they just had. Over time, he improved his accuracy. We can say that. I think we're all correct in saying that. He improved his accuracy. But with this kid, I don't think, and I don't think I full well know that there's going to be no pressure to put him on the field. Bills fans aren't going to be clamoring to see Josh Allen. I think we'll under and overreact to everything we hear about him. I will too. But he wouldn't throw that pass, Corey. He just wouldn't throw it. He would stand there and stare at it and then just take off. Again, let's try to be positive first. And I think this kid, he's going to get the Big Ben treatment. And if you go back and look through the annals, and what I mean by Big Ben treatment is you look at the size. See, I don't see Cam Newton. I see more Big Ben. And I'm not talking about numbers. I'm talking about style of play. He's hard to sack, like bouncing. And I like that as a positive, and I like that as a negative. I like that as a positive, and I like that as a negative. Because he's so hard to sack. You used to see him ripping out of people. Like he's you're not going to have to have 5 Pro Bowlers on the offensive line, because this kid can kind of mitigate that with his movement, his size, his ability to just pick up yards. And they will go with AJ, Corey. Obviously, AJ McCarron is going to be the starting quarterback of the Buffalo Bills, and I think that they're totally fine with that. They're totally fine with that. I can't say that I would be, and I'm not upset about that, because irregardless of whatever quarterback came in, I think they had designs on them sitting anyway while they refined them, whether it was Darnold or whoever, and they felt like this kid was the guy. They felt like going up to 7, just giving up 2 twos. Let's just be the positive to start. They didn't touch for next year's picks. They didn't touch them. They kept their second one, and they kept all the next year's. All the next year's is good. All of next year's draft, it's good to us. Unscathed. What'd they do today? Okay, we could say this. They traded 2 second-round picks, but at the end of the day, they got their first-round pick and a quarterback. And Edmunds, let's just say he's the second-round pick. They're picking in the 3rd, and they got a bunch of other mid-round picks. So essentially, they got their first, their second, and their 3rd, and they got the quarterback who they want to develop and the centerpiece of their defense. In their eyes, I'm just going by their eyes, and you better believe McDermott had just as much a say in this as everybody. This is the guy he chose, and we could say this about the team. This is what I say about the team. They were the best coached Bills team last year that I watched in a long time. And I'm not being a homer by saying that. We can all say that. There was never these glaring mistakes where guys were caught out of position, where guys were just, nobody knew what was going on under like the Rex teams and some of the Gailey teams. They were just clueless. A few of the games they got run over in were against high-level opponents. I mean, the turnover game with Al. I'm already messed up because he's on my brain. He obviously, the one with Peterman was, and I think that might be a good lesson for McDermott to have learned as a rookie coach. Is like, hey, look what happened when I put a rookie quarterback in on the road before you. And this is the first-round pick. This is the future of the franchise. We need to be extra sure he gets on the field at the right time, rather than just saying, hey, the fan base is pissed, we got to throw him out there. No, you don't do that. You don't do that. They're going to take, in this case, they're going to take the old school approach with this kid. He's going to sit for a year plus. I'm fine with that. I said that from Jump Street. Whoever the quarterback is, sit. Sit. Whether it was Rosen, Mayfield, or Darnold, I want you to sit. I want you to take a breath, because this whole thing is hell. The reason I haven't come on and done videos, right, or done these, is because I draft fatigue. I could barely. I was a mess, because we all knew they were drafting a quarterback. Marone had us coached well but his offense was archaic, and he had a guy under him that he can control. He controls him. This is Daboll's show. This offense is his. Marone was the offensive guy. You got to remember that. He was the offensive coordinator. He was the XO lineman. Go look at the way Jacksonville's offense ran, right, Corey? Same Bills offense. We're going to run it in the middle of the line. Remember those old Boobie Dixon runs? We're just going to run them in the middle of the line, and we're just going to down and distance, and then we'll punt, play with our great defense. It's the Bills template to a T. Correct? Again, let's just take a step back here. And I appreciate, even though there's 5 viewers, thank you all. More people come in, thank you all, because you know what? If I get 1 viewer, it's worth it. Eric's great on Instagram. Corey's been around, around for the last few years. I went out, Dank is here. You know what's funny about you say about Keanu Reeves, dude? 2 days before, and I'll prove it to you, my boy, Eric, right? You know, the guy watched just a real quick story. It's funny you mentioned Keanu Reeves in the story. I go, we were leading up to the draft. You know, we're texting back and forth. We're leaving voice messages. He does a career day in New York for a school, and he's at the career day. And guess what? He's at the career day. He sends me a video just to prove it to you. It's in his thing. Video.
Hey, shut up. Shut up.
Met Keanu Reeves.
Keanu's giving you a message.
Keanu here. Having a nice day. Smell my taxes now.
Yeah, he meets Keanu Reeves because Keanu Reeves just walks around NYC like a regular dude, like me or you. Rides Subway, goes into restaurants, whatever. And he met John Leguizamo too. He sent me a video of John Leguizamo. So I thought that was kind of like, wow. So for you to mention Keanu Reeves in the chat, maybe it's a good sign. Maybe it's a good sign. I'm looking for, at the end of the day, if they would have drafted any of the other quarterbacks, there would have been, we got to wait. We got to wait now. We've got to wait. And we've been waiting a long time. We waited a long time for the playoff drought, which they ended. They did that. They have that on their mantelpiece. They're the regime who did that. They're the regime who came in with the balls to say, you know what, you see this guy, he's got all these things, but we're going to have the stones to say, hey, he's the guy we feel like can be exceptional. At the end of it all, he can be exceptional. Those guys are good. We like them too, but this guy can be exceptional. You know, positives, look at the guy. Not a throw he can't make. Not a throw he can't make. He needs refinement, obviously. Obviously. He's got room to grow. According to everybody, non-Bills people, you listen to him, he was the smartest quarterback on the board. Like, you put him on the board, he was smart. He's never been coached by NFL people. Nobody's ever touched him, NFL style-wise. Like, he did. This is encouraging. He handled the audibles, right, at Wyoming. It was a pro system, the same system Winston. Granted, he wasn't as successful at it. Another thing that I'm encouraged by is the coach that liked him the most last year, loved him, was Bruce Arians. You go look back at who Bruce Arians coached. He was Peyton Manning's original quarterback coach. Peyton Manning. He was, you know, granted, Tim Couch. Didn't work out. First overall pick. Ben Roethlisberger. Right? You go down the line. He resurrected Carson Palmer's career. Carson Palmer was a different quarterback under that guy. So if he had his endorsement, because that's the team the Bills were battling to get the quarterback, was Arizona. Arizona was willing to give up their next year's first and other things to get to 7 with the Bills. They didn't end up giving much at 9 as much, but they were willing to give up, you know, a first round. They were willing to give up just as much, but the Bills got it done. I needed to chill after the pick, Eric. I needed to chill. Honestly, it was a shock. I think we all did need to decompress and be like, hey, take a fucking minute. I mean, if you saw my Instagram story, my initial reaction was I wasn't happy, obviously, because I don't have the highlights, the long laundry list of the highlights to look at until the guy actually plays an NFL game like the other guys do. I don't have that. We don't have that. You guys want to watch it. I want to watch it. But you know what about the thing about those highlights? He's not doing it. They're not doing it in the Bills uniform. They're not doing it in the Bills offense. They're not doing it against NFL players. Now, we've seen tons of guys come out of school with good completions percentages, and once they get to the NFL, their completions percentages are shit. So, again, we'll see. He's not going to have any pressure to play. He's not going to have any pressure to play. I think so, too. Like, he looks like a guy that I need to work. He has nothing. He has basically no ground to stand on other his physical tools. That's it. That's his ground. It's like, I have physical tools. He would have been drafted in the first round. When you compare him to EJ Corey, there's those because we know what EJ is now, right? We know what EJ is. Even I felt that way a little bit last night looking at it. But the thing is, I look back and now we know what EJ is. We know what he is. So to take a quarterback 5 years removed and compare him to a kid today is a little unfair who's never played an NFL down. That's one. Two, again, hindsight's 2020. Different offense, different people running the organization, the whole infrastructure, everything's changed. So the environment this kid's going to be fostered under is completely the one different than EJ was put under. Completely different. And I'll go back. This team was better coached last year. I saw improvement in Tyrod's game, but at the end of the day, Tyrod wasn't their guy. They used the collateral they got in the Tyrod trade. And money. They saved money and they paid AJ McCarron less. And I have a kid. I'm sorry, he's not a kid. He's a grown man. One of my best friends who played college ball was a wide receiver at Boston College. You guys can look him up, Keith Hemmings. He's a good friend of mine. He loves AJ McCarron. Loves him. It's all good, Matt. I appreciate you coming in, bro. Yeah, we all rush to judgment. I mean, we could all say Edmunds is great right now, right? It looks great. He could be crap, and Allen would be great. But you know what I'd rather have done today? Could I tell you guys? I'm gonna let's step back and look at everybody else. There's a lot of pissed off Giants fans today. A lot of pissed off Giant fans. There's a lot of pissed off Giants fans because they wanted the quarterback for the future. So you know what I'd rather do? I'd rather go up and try to get a quarterback and fail maybe than hit on a running back, because the running back is not going to make your team better long term. You look at the records, Giants, Bills, the last 5 years. 5 years, that's a big body of work, half a decade. The Bills are a better football team on paper record-wise than the Giants are. The last 5 years. They both have one and done in the playoffs. The Bills were a lot closer to winning their game than the Giants were. Their core was chilling on the boat in Miami. Remember that. Their franchise player, because Odell is their franchise player. That's one perspective. That's one team. Number two, everybody in Cleveland. Go on 92.3, the fan. The Cleveland's, their version of WGR. They're actually affiliated. We drafted Johnny Manziel 2.0. Do I believe that? No. I loved Baker Mayfield. You know that. I don't think he's Johnny Manziel 2.0. But their fans are saying that because they lived it. They watched it. He's a short white guy who came from the air raid offense, those templates and stuff. So that's what they're saying. The Jets fans, you know what they're saying today? Great. He was the consensus number one all quarterback. But you know what? We took another turnover machine from USC. You know what they're thinking about today? Oh, is he Mark Sanchez 2.0? That's what they're saying. There's the skeptical Jet fans are saying that right now. That's what they're saying. Rosen, Arizona don't have, because Arizona's kind of transient. They have a fan base, but it's not like most people who live in Arizona for somewhere else and they root from other teams. So their fan base is kind of different to gauge. There have been some, he's an injury risk. He's got an attitude. He's probably going to be out of football in a couple of years. And we have a Bradford who's brittle. He'll be hurt. They'll force this kid in. There's no offensive line and we'll ruin him. That's what they're saying. So again, everybody's got their gripes today. Every fan base has to take a little bit of pause and step back and say, hey, we don't know yet. We don't know. I wish I had that crystal ball. I really do, man. I really do. I wish I could quantify what's going to make a great quarterback and what's not. But the only thing we have to go by is 1 year track record of these guys. And they got into the playoffs how they did. They got in. Shit, a team made it into the NFC Championship game with one of the most miracle. It was called a miracle, right? They did it. So I'm not, and that play that happened with Tyler Boyd was nowhere on the level. But getting back to this quarterback, let's go to the negatives now. Again, the completion percentage scares the hell out of you because according to everybody, that's one of the hardest things to correct is that completion percentage. Now, was it due to the talent around him? Was it due to the O-line? There's a play that plays into it. I mean, the kid, how many years out of JUCO is he? Three? Not much. So what kind of coaching do you get at junior college? What type of instruction? What type of nutrition? What type of work ethic do you? What type of, you know what I mean? All the support stuff. It's nothing. Even at Wyoming, I'm sure the programs tried to get better, but still, it's barely. I mean, Wyoming. I don't think of Wyoming. Again, next year's draft is untouched. And if you listen to everybody who plays game on paper, they play game on paper. This team's going to be 6-10, 5-11, whatever. Again, I just let them play games. I'm going to wait and see. I'm not going to give them a record for next year. So I'm not going to tear them down. Again, the completion percentage, obviously, the level of competition, that's a combination. And then those tweets are pretty rough. We all can step back and say, hey, they were done by a 15, 16-year-old kid. Very true. And I would be horrified if social media existed when I was a teenager, and some of the dumb stuff that I did and would have gotten captured on Twitter or Instagram, Snapchat, just a viral video that would have got caught by somebody on their phone and then put on YouTube or sent throughout texts. And who knows? But it didn't, thankfully. So yeah, but the language was reprehensible. I'm a product of a biracial family, and I was uncomfortable with some of the rhetoric that was coming out of his mouth in those tweets. And hopefully he's just being a dumb, stupid kid saying dumb, stupid shit that we all do. I've said plenty of dumb, stupid shit I regret to this day. And for somebody who does that in a malicious way, though, that's a scumbag move on their part. If they put that out there to harm him the same way they did Tunsil, that's bad. You don't do that. That's really fucked up. If you do that to people in a moment like that, you're putting it out there to damage somebody. And that's wrong. But that's my takes, guys. This is the guy that when all the work was done, they went back to it all. They said, you know what, these other quarterbacks are good, but this guy is going to give us what we feel like long-term, the best possible outcome for the kind of quarterback we want. Improv offense, does his best work on the run, in my opinion. When he gets back in the pocket, his feet are set. Those are his prettiest throws. When it's boom, 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 ball out, every throw is beautiful. But when he starts not being sure of himself, scrambling around, some of those throws look nice too. But then others, like sometimes he doesn't trust what he's thinking, starts scrambling around, tries to make too much, then it gets ugly. He tries to create something out of nothing. He's got to be careful with his body. Learn how to slide, throw the ball out of bounds. But again, he has time to do all that stuff. So thanks for this, 7 guys coming in the room. Throw whatever you want at me, and I'll try to answer it if you care to. It's we'll see. I mean, if we were here talking about Rosen or Mayfield, we'd all be talking about the games, the Ohio State game, the this game, that game, what happened at Georgia, what's the explanation for that? Especially Darnold, the Penn State game. This year was kind of rough for him. Maybe clean up the turnovers and some of the fumbles. And another thing that I didn't like. Okay, I'm going to go back to a negative. I didn't like the weather sighting. I understand it. Just say, we like the physical tools. We like the physical tools. We like the physical tools. We like the size. We like all that stuff. Don't use the weather. Don't use the weather, because to me, that's crazy. I know he meant gripping the ball and all that sort of stuff, and I get it, but don't use the Buffalo weather. I don't do that. I don't use, there's snow on it. You know what? There's snow here in Jersey too. Sam Darnold's going to have to learn to play in the elements here, because it gets windy in East Rutherford, where MetLife Stadium is, because it's low. It's really low, and it's surrounded by highland. It's like a dip. It just goes up. So it's like swampland, basically, and they built on the other side of it. If you go and Google map what MetLife Stadium looked like, it's surrounded by swampland. Yeah, that just, like, don't do that. That's such a thing. that Bills fans didn't want to hear. I've never been to Buffalo. I didn't want to hear it. Didn't want to hear it. It's so lame. Again, if you felt like this was your guy in terms of capital, I don't care what you get. I would rather go get a quarterback, and instead the last Bills regime traded up to get a wide receiver and used next year's stuff. They used a fourth in that year's draft. So by definition, the Bills gave up less to get their quarterback instead of getting their quarterback a wide receiver with the first. So it's kind of ass backwards. You get it? They traded up to get this guy. Bills traded down, got EJ, and then they bailed on him for again, 4 games in. The infrastructure is entirely different. They need to keep 3 quarterbacks on the roster. I don't want to see this kid touch the field in 18. I really don't. If he improves, if he earns it, if we hear stories from Joe B, all the critical guys, and all this stuff, the guys that are the roughest on the Bills in the media, the guys, they'll just nail them. The Sal Mayoranas and the Vic Caruccis, they're not going to sugarcoat shit. I want to see them. Well, he had the out. He knew had the out, and EJ wasn't going to give him the best record. He wanted that out clause, and he wanted the best possible record to maximize his value because he knew he was taking it. I don't want to read because he's always going to have a negative. Corey. Do I feel like the accuracy the QB has or doesn't have? I've always said it's the hardest thing to teach, and by everybody's account, it's the hardest thing to teach. But then again, you got to quantify what type of coaching was he getting, the type of players, and the fact that he's going to get a year to just chill. He's going to get a year to chill. He's going to get a year to just sit back and be like, hey, I'm exhausted. I haven't had a chance to breathe. I haven't had a chance to do anything. I haven't had a chance to just sit and just take a chill for over a quarter of a year, because we're almost in May. This guy knew he was getting drafted. That was a Thursday night game, Corey. And you know what I see? I see the same guy. He doesn't give a shit. He wants to punt. Still. He wants to. This is an offensive guy who just wants to have his defense, keep his offense. And I saw that team was organized and stuff. They did good things, but who knows? They have a bunch of healthy quarterbacks in their division now. But I'm talking about the Bills, the most important thing, the thing we all care about. And you talk about this division now, right? In New York, the pressure is on Darnold now. You think Jet fans want to go see another Hackenberg, granted second-round pick? They haven't seen him. The kid sat for 2 years, hasn't played on a team that needed to see a young quarterback. They had Ryan Fitzpatrick for 2 years. They had Josh McCown. They're going to go 2 years, Josh McCown, and then they signed a gimpy Teddy Bridgewater. They're going to be like, no, we're tired of these guys. So that McCown always gets hurt. Bridgewater, we don't know. So the chances are, and you're going to have a really rabid fan base here. I know we're going to be like, hey, get this guy on the field. Enough is enough. So we'll see. I mean, even in Arizona, again, their fan base is a very light. They don't have the national glitz and glamour. I have never run into an Arizona fan ever in my life, ever. Even when they were good during the 08, 09 years with Warner, I've never run into one. The Cleveland fans, again, they've gone through the different quarterbacks, and they've drafted. This is the first one they've taken first overall since Couch. So they have Tyrod, but still they're saying, you know, short guy, doesn't have the arm because they get late. Their stadium is right on the water, right on Lake Erie, so they get all that stuff, all that weather, and they're talking about that. Their fans are concerned about that. Can you believe that? Their fans are concerned about weather. Their fans are talking about weather. So let them have that conversation. But again, the questions would have been rampant everywhere, with all the guys. Again, I don't feel like they got fleeced in any of the deals. They still have their original third. They used their first and their second yesterday. And I feel like they got one starter, and given the right thing be done, a quarterback that can sit and chill and learn. You look at Drew Brees, he had Doug Flutie. Sat, chilled, learned, took a breath. You know, Ben, they tried to do it with Tommy Maddox, but he got hurt. I can't remember the injury, but he got hurt 3 games in, and they had to go in. But you watch the games, you guys remember they ran the ball to death, played defense. He didn't even throw for 300 passing attempts that year. Even it took him several years, and then he had that rough year when he had the motorcycle accident. So you got to go back and do your history. Also, you look at all the quarterbacks who just blossomed. I mean, Phillip Rivers sat for 2 years. He sat for 2 years. Phillip Rivers, 2 years. I mean, it's hard to do, but in Buffalo, for me, you can do that. I'm not saying he's going to sit for 2 years. I'm saying if you want to use that template, I'm okay with it. If he comes out and kicks ass next year, then that's your quarterback. That's your quarterback. Obviously. But I want to see, do I want to see flashes? Hell yeah, I want to see flashes. That's the thing is, I don't think the one positive here that's being overlooked, I don't think Bills fans are going to be clamoring to see this kid. You know what? We're going to be clamoring to see him when he does good things in a preseason game and he lights somebody up and has one of these wow, consecutive moments and be like, oh, maybe they should play him. I'm gonna be like, no, take a step back, let him go chill, let him work, let him rep, and then, let them do what they're gonna do, their plan with him. And people who got all excited and pissy, I was one of those. I used to be this fan. I used to get mad when I would hear about owners and ownership talking about like they went on trips or they love the quarterback or they fell in love with this quarterback, whatever. I'm going to ask every one of you guys in the room. Just think as I'm talking to you, nobody else, each one. You're the owner of the Bills. Every one of you guys in the room, you own them. And I am the general manager. I'm Mark, and you guys, Corey, Dank Productions, everybody, Eric. And I say to you guys, as the owner of the Bills, I think we need to draft a quarterback this year. We haven't had one in forever. Maybe our starter's getting old. Whatever the situation, I need to start going around. We have had our scouts going scouring all year. I'm going to need the plane. We're going to need to do some flying, a lot of flying, get on ground zero with these kids and really get our hands dirty and find out what we like, what we don't like, what would be the plan with them if we draft them, everything. And as the owner of the Bills, I tell you, I'm going to draft a quarterback, and not only I'm going to trade up to get him. We're going to have to, because this kid will not be just hanging out for us. Do you even ask to come with me, or do you just, I'm coming? Do I have to ask you to come with? Do I have to say, oh, would you like me to come because I'm going to draft, or the face of your franchise potentially, or what are you going to say? You're going to be like, I'm coming, right? I'm like, yeah, I think I'm coming. Do you want to have a say? Do you want to be like, oh, I like him? Nah, there's something about you own the team. You sign the checks. There has to be a consensus. There has to be a triumvirate of, hey, we all like this kid. That's the head coach. That's the coordinator. That's the GM. And sorry, it's 4. So, but the most important one, so it should be a triumvirate, is the head coach, the owner, and the general manager. They all should be on board with who this quarterback is. The highest drafted quarterback in Bills history. Right? The last time a Bills won a playoff game, I put it on Twitter. This kid wasn't even born yet. For a year. For a year. This kid wasn't even on planet Earth. So, honestly, for me, I know he's there. I just kind of want to not just put him on the back burner. Hey, we've got this kid in the incubator. Let him grow. Put him in the incubator. Let him grow. That's it. That's my whole take on it. And again, I haven't even touched on Edmunds. I would like to think McDermott has a plan for him, because McDermott's the one who jumped and took the questions about Edmunds last night, how he was going to be utilized and stuff, and the athleticism. The Bills went sun to the moon in terms of athleticism at linebacker just with his addition. Like in terms of covering ground, sideline to sideline, length, just they say middle linebacker, but the guy played everywhere. He was here, there. He was just playing everywhere, right? The guy was just all over the place. I saw him on the edge. I saw him he was like a joker. The guy played everywhere. So that's exciting to me. He's a bigger guy than Kuechly. He's a bigger guy. Kuechly was more refined. Kuechly's a true middle linebacker. He doesn't play on the edge. He doesn't play like, he's very good in coverage, but he doesn't have the length that this guy has. He doesn't have the long arms, and just you see him next to Josh Allen, it's like, okay, this guy he's not a blown up 6'5", 250. He's a legit 6'5", 250. Like, he's every bit of that and then some. And then again, he's 19 years old, going to turn 20 before the season starts. He's a baby. I'm old enough to be his father. I'm old enough to be Josh Allen's father. That's where I think about these players now as I look at this, especially this year, last year, maybe even some the year before. I wouldn't want to be having kids when I was like 15, 16, 17. But, I would have been 19 years old, turning 20. And I'm old enough to, I'm almost 40. So I would have been like, hey, I'm old enough to be these guys' father. I like that you're right, Nick. Like, he gets the guys, they're going down. He's so long. You got no chance. Snuffing out screens, just run again, just the ground coverage. He can make a guy he can force a guy back, and another guy could clean up the tackle, like, because he's just so long. Yeah, you're 21, Corey, right? You're a 21-year-old. I'm old enough to be your dad. So I've seen where the Bills have had shortcomings, and the biggest place that I've seen the shortcoming, honestly, wasn't the players drafted. It was the organization never had a direction. They never had a conviction. Every year, it was one direction to another direction. Everything was scattershot. It's like, hey, 1 minute we're doing this. Hey, next minute we're doing that. Look at EJ. Hey, we're all in with EJ, right? Those were Doug Marone's words after they drafted with Sammy Watkins and all this. This was a positive sign that they went and got him a big time weapon. Remember, 4 games in, they pulled the plug. 4 games for a guy who walked out of the building the year that year ended. Won the Bills 7 games, said sayonara. But that was the organization. Everything was, we're doing this. 1 minute we're doing this. Hey, we're scrambling now because our head coach just dipped on us with $4 million, and we go get Rex Ryan because he's going to galvanize and make everybody feel good, and we're all going to be hugging, and because he's brash, and we like that. We like that because we can grab onto that. We can see that emotion and stuff. What we don't know is the work we don't see, the boring stuff. One of the best quotes I've ever heard is the people that become great at stuff are the people that are willing to do the boring stuff the longest. They're willing to do boring stuff more and longer than the other people, which is the truth. You look back and that's the truth. So this kid, Yeah, that was their plan, to not play him, Eric. Corey, their plan wasn't to play him. That's why you always keep 3 quarterbacks. You always keep 3 quarterbacks. Always. You always plan them. They did it to JP. They forced JP in. He was too soon. All the veterans on the team bailed. They were like, oh, God, this kid's not ready to play. Maturity issues, dicking around in practice, not working hard. You have he works for the NFL now. Troy Vincent breaking his leg in a practice because he wasn't doing anything. He was just farting around. And so Troy Vincent goes and low cuts him and while he's standing there and breaks his leg. Imagine that. Imagine that in this day and age. That's what happened. That was the Bills organization. 2 head coaches walk out the door. Just a mess. This is the first time we had real ownership, who's in the building, who's involved with the team, a head coach and a general manager who are like this, who are saying this is the focus, this is direction. Everybody says we got a lot of work to do. They say that constantly. We got a lot of work to do. We're building. We got a lot of work to do. We're building. And that reflects in they didn't touch next year's draft. They didn't even nothing. That was the deal, but we're not doing that. So if they still got one of the 2 guys they liked and didn't touch next year's draft and they built the team through the middle like I want, I'm happy about it. On the surface, if you look at his numbers, and I don't want to represent the game this year and yesteryear, but pro style stuff, all quarterbacks. Oh, that was Ralph Wilson's running back fetish. We know this. We know this. They would have traded up for Saquon Barkley because his wife, I believe the female scout he had working, Ralph Wilson's daughter, who passed away, unfortunately, because of cancer back in 2009 or so, she went to Penn State. And obviously the Pagulas went to Penn State. But that's not the point. You go back, you look at Josh Allen as a physical specimen. He would have been the first overall pick all throughout the 90s. It wouldn't have even been a question. Irregardless of his numbers, irregardless of his competition, he would have been the first overall pick. Easily. It would have been a question. It's like, this guy's a first overall pick. He was in conversation for the first overall pick this year, legitimately, with most pundits, and we know how wrong these people are. And, Cleveland, those were the 2 guys they liked. They're polar opposites, but they liked the movement, the size, the arm. They liked the same things the Bills said, and I'm not saying they're right or wrong, but they're a new regime too. Not as deep. The Bills are 1 year in. They just got there, but still, these are the same guys, Elliott Wolf and all those guys. They drafted He was part of the Patrick Mahomes thing. Dorsey. They've been with Green Bay when they drafted, Favre and all these guys. The California quarterback doesn't bother me either. That's another thing that we say, Cal, because of JP and Rob Johnson and Edwards. Well, then I'm not saying that this kid, but there are plenty of examples of good ones. Rodgers, Brady, Elway, California quarterbacks. So that doesn't matter. And they all played in blistering cold weather. Blistering cold. So thank you guys for hitting me with the 9 guys, just going to town. I really, really appreciate it. This is not a Bills therapy Monday for me. This is not like, oh, we're all just going to lick our wounds and say, oh, poor us again. We all suck. None of that. Defensively, I love what they've done. They built team through the middle. They added star. They added a stud athlete at linebacker. Their safeties are the secondary. I'm great with. I'm great with the secondary. There's 2 things they've shown. They're not going to get fleeced in the draft. They have the balls and the conviction to go get their guys when they want them. They did it last year with Jones and Dawkins. They did it this year with Allen and Edmunds. And so they're not going to get held up, and they're not going to overpay for free agents. They're not going to sit there and beg Mario Williams for a week to sign with the Bills. So while he sits there and waits and tries to get a better offer from Tennessee like he was doing back in 2012, was it 11 or 12? 12. It was 12. Because that's what was going on. That was the Bills sitting there just begging the guy to sign while he sat and tried to beg another offer that was even close to the Bills, and he couldn't. because he would have been out the door. So, again, this is the first time where we're so used and conditioned for the old management, the old ownership who was absentee. Let's give this a chance. Again, the kid's in the incubator now. Let's leave him there. He's got to grow. He's got to get nurtured. Football-wise, just again, like every these quarterbacks, sometimes I got to stop myself because I'm like this, and you see me on Twitter sometimes. The NFL, you think of any big business in the world, let's just big business. You just have a kid come in, the hot shot out of college, whatever, come in and save us. That doesn't happen in any other industry, any other multi-billion-dollar industry in the world. That doesn't happen other than NFL quarterback. You don't get very rare in baseball it happens. Once in a blue, you get the Bryce Harper big-time prospect. Like, oh, my God, this guy is wow. It's very rare, the Mike Trout. And for them to come so close, it's unbelievable. And their baseball's different because they have the minor league system. But in college, where they don't get NFL coaching, they don't play with NFL players, regardless of the level, you expect the kid to come in and save everybody. That shouldn't happen. That shouldn't happen. And then when the kid fails, everybody wants to get mad and say, well, you fucked up. You're not Gettleman. Would you want to be the Giants today? I wouldn't. I had a Giants fan who I respect a lot, who's watched football longer than me. He was fucking destroyed. He's like, my team took a running back 2nd overall. He said, this kid could be good and I'd be mad. You know that? I don't want Saquon Barkley to suck. I want him to be good. I want my friend to enjoy his games. But he still is like, he knows the importance of quarterback. He's like, Eli's play is declining. I want a quarterback. The great Patriots, everything they do is, if Josh Allen, right? Let's just say the Bills would have passed him. This is just to put things in perspective. Bills would have passed on Josh Allen. Everybody would have been happy. I would have been happy, right? Patriots trade up and take him. Guess what? The Patriots would have been fucking applauded today. They would have said they found their guy. Belichick's a genius. He knows stuff. He let everybody pass on this physical freak. Brady's going to, give this kid another 2 to 3 years to chill, and this kid's going to come out and imagine Brady with a cannon arm. That's what they would do. Every quarterback that's ever sat behind Brady was going to be the next Brady. Mallet got it. He was drafted in the 7th round. They've never drafted a first-round quarterback behind Brady, and they didn't do it this year. They go 2nd round was the highest. I don't think Castle was drafted if he was in the 7th, but Castle didn't play it down at USC. Think about that. A quarterback who only knelt the ball down and handed it off at the end of games. Who was John David Booty was the starter. The Pats drafted a running back, Michael, who I liked. I got a few picks right in my mock, just a few, not many. Oh, at the end of the draft, I got them right. I got the Billy Price, and I got the Hayden Hurst one, and I got the which one I got? I had the Seahawks taking a running back, but the wrong running back. I had Geis, not Penny. That was otherwise I sucked. I really shit the bed. Oh, Milton. I had Milton to the Raiders, but I did. You can't make trades in mocks. The site I use, I can't make trades. Thanks for all the guys, the 12 guys coming in to the room. I appreciate it. The guy Corey's just going nuts. Corey's great. You guys are all like my Bills brothers, like Eric last night. Rick in Ohio. We all guys want the same things, for this team to be great, win games, but we have to just sit back and watch now. I think we all want the instant gratification. Obviously, I do. I know I do. We all feel like we've suffered a long time. And, we're so used to just looking at our phones and click, click, click. Everybody says this pick sucks. Everybody says this pick is great. What we don't know, because I've been so wrong about so many guys in the draft. And I've been right on a few too. So not many. Thanks, Matt. Yeah, I did too. I did too, but they didn't. So we'll see. There's two young core, and that's another thing. Think of this, guy. Think of this, guys. I think about it, know it, and realize it. We've had, as a fan base, whether you're young, new, or old, lived through it all. Corey's kind of young. You came into the game late. Like Eric, you're a young guy. All you've known is Patriot dominance. That's all. 2 decades. 2 decades of dominance by, I'm going to say it, the greatest quarterback I've ever seen play. He is the greatest quarterback I've ever watched. I'm not sorry. He is arguably the greatest head coach, right? The greatest head coach. And 09, or was it 10? I believe it was 10. It was 10. They draft the greatest physical freak of a tight end. So, and think of that. There was 8-9 years of Patriots prior to that. And then we've had to deal with that as a fan base for the next 9 years. Those guys, this is my fervent belief, they are all one and done after this year. I think they will, depending on what happens this year, this is the make or break year for the Patriots. They either go out with the trophy, another banner in Gillette, another ring with 28 studs in it, or whatever the crazy shit they do to win it, or they get to the Super Bowl or the playoffs deep in and lose, and Giselle pulls him away from the game like she's doing now. She tried to do it last year. You think she went out and told a national guy about concussions by accident? She's a very well-coached, media-savvy person. She's a model who's made $1 billion+ dollars. She knows exactly what she's saying. Brady saying, I don't know why are we doing this? Why am I getting my Achilles worked at the end of the all? Because all our success, honestly, is predicated upon their downfall. I feel like this organization can compete with the Jets and the Dolphins. That is the gorilla. That is that 10,000-pound gorilla that has to be removed. And those three things, imagine if they hadn't dealt Garoppolo. Because I think McDaniels is a joke of a head coach. A joke. You saw what Denver did with him. He's obviously the head coach, the head coach in waiting. That's obvious. Everything we do is gearing up to go kick their ass for the next decade and knock their dicks in the dirt. You know, that's my thing. That's what I want. It'd be competitive. Maybe we won't win every game, but we're not going to go on. Exactly. That's the genius. The genius. So we'll see. That's the genius. Again, physical talent. You could look at stats. If it makes you feel warm and cozy, I want every Bills fan to feel warm and cozy. Go back and look at the greats. They played in pro-style offenses where the contact rules were different, but they played D1. They had a lot of accolades, right? So we knew they were great. Their numbers aren't as Allen's numbers are their numbers. Tom Brady at Michigan, granted, Michigan had that big Orange Bowl win against Alabama. I'll never forget it. 16 touchdown passes, a lot of running, a lot of grinding it out type of defense. Lloyd Carr played defense. He didn't light people up. College football is played in a completely different realm. All the college football we see in D1 came up from D2 because they had to spread people out. They didn't get the athletes. Hopefully this guy Daboll has a progressive mind. And where I find comfort, remember the first half of the Alabama game. They couldn't throw. Hurts was just and then the quarterback, I can't pronounce his name, the Hawaiian kid. He could throw, move around a little bit, but he predominantly threw, and then they just started, there went the ball. They opened them up. They ran a little more. They controlled it, and that kid was just, hitting those deep strikes. Hopefully, we'll get some of that. We'll get that creativity. We'll get that ability. Halftime, you make a quarterback switch, and you got to change your offense completely on halftime. The offensive calls you call for Hurts wasn't the offense that kid was getting. So that's a positive. How many times the Bills at the end of the press conference, we got to look at the film and make the adjustments. And what does Belichick always get known for? Hey, we adjusted at halftime. We had to adjust because you don't have time. You got to make adjustments on the fly. Hey, ODC, how are you, bro? You know, I'm going to ask you guys a question because I don't know this. Can you guys go back and rewatch this if you joined late? I'm not sure. Does it delete or does it stay? Let me know in the comments. Does this delete afterwards, or do you guys get to go rewatch it? I think it stays. I'm pretty sure. Yeah. Okay. You can. Okay. Cool. Thank you. Thanks, guys. 13 people. Thank you. But Matthew, ODC, that's you. Again, we all have trepidation, and we should. But we should all have a little bit of reservation too in terms of our trepidation. Be like, hey, we can't be all doom and gloom here. Otherwise, you're just going to be miserable. You're just going to be miserable. And I don't choose to be miserable for however long that I have to wait to see if this kid blossoms. I'm not going to do that to my psychological state. We put a lot of emotion and shit into this team. We do. All of us, every one of us here, and then some more. So we give ourselves a chance to breathe, because we all knew they were taking a quarterback. It's exhausting. I couldn't, myself, just to talk about myself real quick, I make sure on draft day now, because I knew they were taking a quarterback. I don't do this in regular years. EJ, I remember. They drafted EJ Manuel, for Christ's sakes. They had to invent a quarterback to be taken in the first round. This year, there was 5 surefire quarterbacks that were going to go in the first round. 5. Jackson went a little lower than everybody else expected. People milked it. But 5 surefire quarterbacks. EJ Manuel was a 3rd-round graded quarterback. So think of the physical attributes and where everybody thought of these two guys. I had to do that last night. I honestly did, because I made the comparisons. I did. Of course I'm going to do that. The last quarterback who failed for the Bills, that was first. I'm going to go right to EJ. We're all going to do that. But I couldn't go. I made sure yesterday was clear. I didn't go to work. I didn't go to the gym. I had a built-in off day. I stopped eating after a certain time, because I remember last year when they drafted, 13, when they drafted EJ, I tried to go to the gym. I kept listening to WGR. I kept redoing Twitter to see if there was any news, if there was anything. I almost puked at the gym, and I hadn't even started working out yet. I was getting so nervous. I know that sounds weak, and because it's exciting. It's like, oh my God, I had all this nervous energy. Who are they going to draft? Did I have an order in my mind? I had it, honestly. I had Rosen. I had Mayfield, Darnold, Allen. Those were the 4 guys. That's how I had them ranked. In my own opinion, that was the way I did it in my head. It turns out the 2 quarterbacks, the Bills, if you listen to John Murphy, he gives you hints. The Bills have identified 2. The 2 that they identified were Darnold and Allen. They were trying to trade up to 4. Cleveland wanted almost everything. They wanted the 3rd back from Tyrod. They wanted the 22 first. They wanted the first in next year. What's up, Pokemon? You know, I would have been excited. What do we do if they draft Rosen right now? What are we doing? Are we in this chat room right now? Maybe, but we'd be talking about what? We'd be talking about the Texas A&M game. The games where they were getting blown out, but the guy still stood in there, took the hits, made the throws, bang, 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 on time. We're a little concerned about the cushions, but we'll work around those. We'll do that. We would have been, we would have been doing that. But again, he wasn't doing it in a Bills uniform. And we still have, well, we got to talk about the, potential. Maybe he's outspoken. Maybe he's not fully committed to football. Maybe he is. We don't know. Maybe he'll piss guys off. Maybe he's hard to coach. Maybe he's too opinionative. You want a guy to have input, but you also want a guy to say, hey, I'm young, dumb, and full of you-know-what. Coach me. You tell me the what, the how, and the why, and I'll do it. And as you get your stripes, then you ask questions. You become that guy that I earn that shit. In the NFL, you got to earn that shit. None of us go into our jobs day one, be like, hey, we're the boss here. We run shit here. You just live here. I know more than – we don't do that. We're fucking low men on totem pole. We have to do the suck shit jobs. Every job I ever had that was worth it, that was it. Whether it was chefing or some of the – like renovation construction shit that I do on the side to make, for friends that own property. Man, all I used to do was sweep floors and clean up when I first started learning that shit. Hey, what's up, Trevor? So this kid has to do the same thing. He's got a guy who was drafted ahead of him last year, and then they got a guy, AJ McCarron. You got to remember the Browns organization, not the general manager, their head coach, who, let me tell you something about the Browns. D. Haslam runs the Browns. Jimmy Haslam's wife runs the Browns. The only reason that Hugh Jackson's the head coach is because of her. Okay? That was part of the parameters of keeping Hugh. That guy he was going to trade a second-round pick. We all know this. We know for AJ McCarron, right? We got that guy at a fraction of the cost. Nothing. Lower paid than this guy, and I could say the rest of the league didn't like him. I know what I know what I see. I trust my eyes. People that I respect's opinion. They liked him. They're like, you know what? You got a guy. He can start for you right away. Love him. Love his edge. Love his competitiveness. And I want to keep Peterman. I want to keep all the quarterbacks, and I just want to let Allen grow, develop, earn his stripes. That was one of the things I liked out of the press conference, is that, no, we earn things here. We don't give them away. I really hope that that's the case, because I don't think Bills fans, given how controversial this pick is, going to be like, yeah, put Allen on the field right away. We want to see him. We want to see him. We want to see him. I don't think that's the case. He might not even start a preseason game. Maybe he plays mid preseason back end of games. He might not start one. It might be AJ McCarron, Peterman, AJ McCarron, like that. That's what, Trevor, that was one of the big deals, is they didn't next year's draft is unscathed. Got out of there scot-free without next year's draft is unscathed, not touched, because we all hope that. We'll take a poll. Is anybody here anxious to see the kid play next year, or do you want to let him wait and develop? Every one of us. Yes, no. One-word answer. Sit, yes. Develop, no. I bet you all the yeses come in. Just yes, 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 yes. Yep. Matt, yep. Sit. That's 2 yeses. I bet you there's all. That actually, I'm going to count yours as a yes, Trevor. You need to sit and develop. That's the truth of it. So I've taken up a lot of your time, guys. Over an hour and 5. It's 1 o'clock. I really, really appreciate it. This whole year plus, knowing that they were going to draft a quarterback, irregardless of who it ended up being, now we know it's Josh Allen, has been exhausting. It's been exhausting. You know what? I know that the Patriots' success is always been focused around Tom Brady. Once the greatest quarterback in the NFL leaves the division for good, and head coach, because I think they're both going out together, we're going to be as a football team, an organization, a fan base, we're going to be on a level playing field, right? The playing field goes from there. We can't see it. We're here. They might be below because then they got to start over. They got to catch up because you don't lose 3 of those things and not suffer a setback. It does for me too right now. But again, let's wait. Let's wait and see because they obviously had the option and they said no. They had the option and said no. Why did they say no? Maybe ultimately at the end of the day, we don't know. But ultimately, they said no. So they took, by all accounts, their guy. Now let's see. Time will tell how it pays off. And that's the most bitter pill about this is waiting. They can maybe take him, but we'll see. I was shocked that they didn't take the thing that I was afraid of. They were going to go up and try to get one of the big 4. I thought the Patriots would trade up next year's first, this year's 3 first, and go up and try to get Rosen or, Darnold, some crazy shit, some crazy stuff. Maybe they trade up with the 49ers because they gave them Garoppolo. I was on pins and needles, dude. Again, every move, positive, negatively, that they've made has been, it's been pretty, they have more positives than the negatives. Yesterday, obviously, with the things about Allen, all the questions, the accuracy and the tweets stuff coming out late, it kind of like, okay, their credibility kind of went from here to like more even ground. We're all like, ooh, doom and gloom. I can't allow myself 24 hours, well, a little less than 24 hours removed, a night's sleep, a breakfast to sit there and be like, oh, this sucks. We're doomed. We're just going to lose. We're destined to lose. They're failures. This kid's going to be ass. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that. I can't allow myself to do it. And if you guys do need to do it, I totally get it. I get it. Yeah. I like Edmunds too. I love it. And we're going to have to get used to spelling it with a U instead of an O. Somebody corrected me several times on Twitter. You know how the grammar Nazis. I hate spell correct. It still messes up for me. I love that pick too, but I want both these guys to be great. I want both these guys to be home runs, guys. I really do. I want both these guys to just be home runs. I want these guys to be Bills for 8-10 years. And then we'll never remember the 2 second-round picks or the 3rd-round pick that they got, that they had to, give up to move up. And think of it this way. They still got their 3rd, 2 4s, 2 5ths, and the 7th. Wait, no, I'm sorry. They got the 4. I'm losing my mind. They have 2 4s, a 3. I don't know if they have a 6, but they have 6 picks. They have a 7th and I think 2 5ths. Yeah, they have 2 5ths. Sorry. So they have 6 more players. Yeah, a wide receiver. Let's talk about that. What do you guys want to see them do today? I'm saying it's I want a wide receiver. But if they see maybe a guy slip and fall that they didn't think at another position, maybe a tight end, maybe Andrews, Gesicki, maybe the tight end that went to North Dakota State. Because you got to think of a guy like, Charles Clay isn't long for this roster. I'm fine with Groy as a center. I'm fine with Bodine as a center. Again, we didn't even talk about, and I'm not here to talk about that whole thing, but you know how everybody said we had needs? There was a certain crowd of Bills fans, the needs crowd. Oh, we have needs. And I totally get that. And I like that Bean said in the pre-draft press conference, you're always going to have needs. And this is true. Do you think the Bills went into this offseason getting a phone call from their starting center, who they thought was going to be their starting center for this year, they had just signed a contract extension with, was going to tell them, look, I need to retire. My neck is gone. My neck is gone. You think they planned on that? No, they didn't plan on it. These things happen. You think they imagined, we're going to negotiate a Richie Incognito contract. We're going to restructure it. And then the guy's going to lose his mind on Twitter. He's going to turn into a nut. Like he was just trying to behave this whole time. He was Rex's boy. Then he lost his mind and just he basically flicked off the whole organization. The organization who gave him a second shot, the fan base that embraced him, and the Bills fans embraced this guy. He became one of the Bills, right? Richie, you know what he said? Nah, fuck you guys. Release me. It's not enough. Not enough money. Fuck you guys. That's what he said. Hey, what's up, Lurker Lloyd? Yeah, he's a piece of shit. And in Spanish is like, oh, mierda, calling you mierda, this shit. You know, just to fuck him. You know, that's what he said to us as a fan base. The fan base that, you know, gave him a second chance after he ran his career in the ground with all his bullshit down in Miami. The stuff that got him cut in St. Louis. He went. Remember, he was a Bill in 2009 at the end. They signed him after he got cut. You're right, Corey. You're exactly right. And you know what he said to us? Fuck you. Fuck you guys. Cut me. Going all crazy on Twitter, saying all that shit. Oh, I'll be there tomorrow. Made you look hot. What the? He sounds like a guy who lost his mind. He was off his meds or he was on meth or something. He did you know what in my mind, you know what I said when I saw all that erratic behavior? I took a step back and said, you know what? He did the Bills a favor. He did the Bills a favor. He showed his true colors right there. Because people will say, oh, look at Josh Allen's tweets. Look at Richie Incognito's a 35-year-old man. He's 35. All right. Compared to this kid who was 15, 16 when he did that stuff. That cat, she's a one-person cat. She's pretty nasty. Like, she only likes me, but even like my mother or my aunt or anybody, if you're a visitor here, though, she'll take to you. She'll just need to warm up to you, and she'll be nice with you. But them, they try to, like, handle her and stuff, and she beats the shit out of them. She goes nuts. Yeah, just the Rex guys like him. I'm just done with that whole era. You know, thanks for the 12 people in the room. There's been 16 in and out. I know you guys may be watching your phones. Maybe you don't have time. Maybe you got shit to do. I totally get it. But you guys deserve this. I mean, I'm not acting like I'm doing no favors here, but we all need to talk and just get it out and enjoy each other as Bills fans, our company, our opinions. That's what it's about. It's a brotherhood. It's lifelong. It's a bond. That's the way I view it, man. That's why I love this team and this fan base, because I live in an area where there's two baseball teams, 2 football teams, 3 hockey teams, and I've seen a lot of wishy-washy. Then I see a lot of fake motherfuckers who are like, hey, all the Dominican kids who live around here, when Boston got good, all of a sudden they became Boston fans because all their good players were Boston fans. They used to be Yankee fans. And then I've seen all of a sudden, oh, there's a bunch of Patriot fans around here who aren't from Massachusetts, never been to Massachusetts. But you know what? They were young kids. The Patriots came up and became good. And now they're early, like late 20s, early 30s, and they still popping shit. You know, so that's that. And I've seen a lot of fake. They were Giant fans, right? All of a sudden, I've seen a lot of Jets and Giants flip-flop. And, oh, I root for both teams. Oh, how nice. You root for both teams. Yeah, NFC, AFC. Nah, fuck out of here. You can't do that. So that's what I deal with. I deal with a lot. You know, basketball teams here suck, so they really can't do much there. The Mets have been a very hot and cold franchise, more cold than hot. They're very loyal. I'll give the Met fans that, man. They suffer, and they stick with it. So I'll give them that. I'm a Yankee fan. I'm not going to lie. But the Bills' failures in the Super Bowl, trust me, made me appreciate those Yankee, you know, just to talk about like how I am as a fan, made me appreciate those Yankee World Series. They really did. I knew how the shit I was watching was special. I appreciated it so much. You know, yes, I mean, it's hard. I mean, imagine you guys, you live somewhere else or not in Buffalo, and you have to deal with that stuff of another fan base, just one fan base. Yeah, I hope he is, man. I hope you're right. I hope he's like if he's anything like Kuechly, we've got a good player. But that athletic freak is ridiculous. Allen, again, he's a wait and see guy. I think the quarterbacks, if they quantified everything and their plan was all of these guys are wait and see guys for us. Who are the two guys that are going to be ego-wise, skill set-wise, willing to accept that the most? Because Bean and McDermott says both, but we're not close. We're building. We got a long way to go here. They both say that, right? Can we envision, let's just be real about this. How do you feel if they said, Rosen, you're not playing this year. We want to sit you. We want to develop you. We want you to take a breath and relax. We don't want you to get on the field. How about Baker? They would have said that to Baker. Baker, you know what? We need you to sit. We need you to learn. We need you to develop. We need you to grow. Who do you think had the ego and the attitude and they don't have the social media activity, if you will, the others two? And I'm not against that. Everybody's Twitter is their own. I know my thing is no politics, no religion, no social life on my social media. That's the way I do it. You guys, you're individuals, you're grown men or young men coming up, about to be grown men. You're free to talk about whatever you want. But that's just the way I do it for myself. I'm nobody to tell anybody how to talk. That's all I'll say about that stuff. So, but as an organization, who do they feel like was most willing to humble themselves and be like, hey, I don't know shit here. I've got to learn. I've got to get better. I'm saying if he tears it up, you know what? I still want him to everybody take a step back, take a deep breath, and hey, we still want this guy to learn more because there's so much to learn. There's so much to do, so much to grow, so much for him. Just let the kid sit and breathe. You know, he's not going to lose that arm strength. He's not going to lose those physical gifts. He's not going to lose. Let him put on 5 pounds solid muscle. Let him learn the playbook. Let him develop. Let him get reps in practice. Let him work with the offensive coordinator, the quarterback coach. Let him get timing with the receivers. Let him do that. Dude, Trevor, I touched on that. That is the one thing I wanted to – I wasn't here when I did it, when I watched the draft, but when they cited the weather, I wanted to scream. I was like, stop doing that stuff. Stop doing that stuff. That was a byproduct of the pick that I didn't like. It played into the stereotype of the weather. It played into the stereotype, the narrative. Oh, Bills, they need this type of quarterback and the weather and the conditions. And the only reason it's windy there is because the damn stadium is built in ground. It's in ground. That's why it's so windy. The way the bowl is built, the wind swoops in like this. The bowl doesn't consume the stadium and keep the wind out. I just get so pissed. Yeah, exactly. They act like living in Erie County, you know, it's like a damn death sentence. Oh, you're sequestered to Antarctica or wherever, and you're gonna be the dome, right? Well, hopefully this kid will be good and he can just wing the ball all over the place and we won't have to worry about it. Right? I think these guys pick their teams. I don't understand that one, Lurker, but yeah. Guys, I'm gonna wrap this up. I really, really appreciate all the stuff that you guys have done here with me doing this, and you know, everybody gets weather. Pittsburgh gets weather, Denver gets weather, New England gets some crazy weather. I can attest for the Jets and Giants, they get some crazy weather here. Miami, you know, gets some. How about this? You ever thought about this from this narrative? Brady doesn't play good in hot weather. He doesn't. He goes down to Miami when it's humid and shit, whether it's early in the season, late in the season. He's not the same quarterback. He's had some good games there, but they're not many. I remember one time he had a crazy game, threw for 500 yards against Chad Henne. But Chad Henne threw for like 400 yards that game, and they won. Remember? Oh, Brady doesn't play good in the warm weather. He doesn't. The Patriots don't perform well in the warm weather. I'm gonna use that one. How about that one? That's my fake shit for the day. My fake little narrative. So again, the weather stuff is just really just blah for me. Yeah, you're exactly right, Corey. He hit 400 yards and 500 yards. Again, the guy at his age threw for 500 yards in the Super Bowl. That's what the Bills have had to do with. And think about it again. There's another. Let's just triple that. The Bills up into 02. Think about this. 02. They had. Remember, there was no AFC South. They had to realign when the divisions became even. So they went 4-4-4. Seahawks moved from the AFC. They were always an AFC team to the NFC to create the West. So as geographically aligned as possible without messing up the rivalries. The Bills had the Colts in their division. So they had Peyton Manning, Tom Brady. That was the Bills division for three seasons, part of the whole drought time. So they had two of the greatest quarterbacks, arguably the two greatest quarterbacks in their division during the time frame. Had realignment not happened, my God, what a miserable. I mean, it was bad, or it was bad enough, that drought. But that's and the Bills did themselves no favors during this whole run. Let's make no mistake about it. They did not help themselves. A lot of it was of their own making. All right, guys, you've been awesome. Bills fans are awesome. I'm going to give ourselves a pat on the back, because we are. We put up with a lot of shit. We waited for a long time for this, and I'm not going to poo-poo it just yet. And if you guys want me to do a video, an upload video, just to shorten it down, I'll do that. If you want to leave it like this, I'll do that. But I really, really appreciate you guys. I want you guys to have a great rest of the day. Great Friday. Great weekend. And you know what? I'll probably be back anyway, because we have 6 more picks to talk about on Sunday. No, Saturday. Yep, Saturday. So I'll see you guys on Saturday. Take care, guys.